Hello, everyone. Welcome to How to Read Chinese Poetry podcast. I'm Zong-qi, the program host. In this podcast program, my colleagues and I aim to introduce cutting-edge scholarship on Chinese poetry to a broad general audience. We will present 52 episodes covering the major poetic genres developed over China's long history. Each episode features close reading of one or more of the best-known Chinese poems, with an aim to illuminate their literary greatness and cultural significance. For all the discussed poems, Chinese text, English translation, romanization, and brief notes are provided at our website, howtoreadchinesepoetry.com. By following the 52 episodes, listener will gain a bird's-eye view of the thematic, formal, and generic evolution of Chinese poetry from antiquity to the modern era. Instruct and delight is what we wish to accomplish in each talk. Without further ado, let's begin. Today, our guest host, Professor Egan, will present his third episode entitled The Boudoir and the Frontier, Heptasyllabic Quatrains in the High Tang. Let us welcome Professor Egan.
Although a small number of Six Dynasties heptasyllabic quatrains are extant, and Early Tang poets experimented with the form, stylistically mature Qijue poetry was an invention of the High Tang poets, most notably Wang Changling, 698 to 755, and Li Bai. Qijue developed along with Tang Dynasty popular music, for which it was the major song form. Thus, initially, the thematic scope was quite narrow. Qijue lyrics were generally limited to popular yuefu themes, which, for the Tang, can be roughly divided into frontier songs about homesick soldiers and boudoir songs about abandoned ladies, and those describing parting from friends and loved ones. This podcast episode will focus on poems of this type. Only gradually did the scope of Qijue themes expand, until by the Middle and Late Tang, the form had become a flexible tool for personal expression. Examples will be highlighted in the fourth and final of these Qijue episodes. Wang Changling's Qijue were popular songs, and when we interpret the text, we should remember their dramatic performative context. There was a premium placed on maximally tugging the heartstrings. Wang Changling is the Steven Spielberg of Chinese poets. Composition takes place with one big eye open to audience tastes and reactions. Let's look at one of Wang Changling's frontier poems from a set called Following the Army, Zong-qi. Signal fires west of the wall, 100-foot watchtowers, climbing alone at dusk, an autumn of desert wind. What's more, mountain pass moon plays on a nomad flute. No way to reach the golden chamber past 10,000 miles of sadness. 烽火乘西百尺楼，黄昏独上海风秋。更吹江底关山月，无那金贵万里愁。Typically, the poem presents no actual warfare. Qijue poets were more interested in the emotions of the soldiers when in moments of rest between battles. A secondary interest was the great desert itself, which had a strangely romantic attraction for the city dwellers of Chang'an, the capital. Wang Changling liberally spices his Qijue with Central Asian geographic names, nomadic accoutrements, and bleak vistas. In this poem, a soldier climbs a tower to look back towards his home in China. When he hears Mountain Pass Moon, a song associated with homesickness, he despairs of the distance to the golden chamber where his wife or lover waits. The huge landscape between them is suddenly suffused with their mutual pain. One of Wang Changling's innovations was the Qijue poem series, a useful means to overcome the brevity of the form. Each stanza is a complete Qijue, but when all are read together, there is an exponential buildup of emotional resonance. Whereas the total length is similar to that of heptasyllabic ancient poetry, Qijue, the effect of the presentation is quite different. The Qijue series comprises multiple moments of great intensity. A fine example is Wang Changling's 5-poem series, Autumn Songs of the Hall of Abiding Faith, which is his version of the Banjieyu themes. The lonely woman figure in yuefu was not limited to the common folk. The abandoned palace lady offered a host of new possibilities, particularly for rich description. The prototypical lady of this type was Banjieyu, once the favored consort of Emperor Cheng, who reigned from 32 to 6 BCE of the Western Han Dynasty. She was displaced when the emperor became infatuated with the lovely Zhao Feiyan and her sister. Fearing jealous recriminations, she retired to serve the Dowager Empress in Changxin Hall, the Hall of Abiding Faith, a separate building within the palace complex, while the emperor entertained his new favorites in the Zhaoyang Palace. A poem attributed to Banjieyu describes her love as like a round silk fan, pure and white as snow, which is put away in a box when the chill of autumn comes. The series presents Lady Ban through the course of 2 nights and a day. The cumulative effect is to show the obsessive quality of her despair and the hellish nature of her existence. Her emotion is in strong contrast to her opulent surroundings, which, as a result, appear as a prison. Solitude and too much time on her hands allows her imagination to run wild. And let's go through these poems one by one. On the Paulownia by the golden well, autumn leaves have yellowed. The pearl blinds are not rolled against the night coming frost. By fragrant drying rack and jade pillow, her face is pale. She lies listening to the South Palace clock, clear drops without end. Lady Ban is sleepless in the dark of night while she ponders her abandonment. It's a poem of contrast. The luxurious surroundings are a mismatch with her despair. The poem is cinematographic in structure. It moves from description of the courtyard to her open window, to her bedside, and finally right into her mind. She is so hypersensitive at this point that even the faint drip of the water clock pounds in her head and keeps her awake. An autumn washstone by the high hall sounds far into the night. Deep frost still recalls the chill of an imperial robe. Beside silver lantern and painted door lock, she puts aside her sewing and looks towards the golden city and her bright lord. Near dawn, she's still sleepless, remembering the past. Sounds of the autumn washing blocks do presage the winter, but the key thing here is that they are heard at night. The sounds are a yuefu image of sleepless, abandoned women who turn to this menial work to dispel their loneliness and sleeplessness. Dufu uses the image to great effect in his Qiuxing Basho, Autumn Meditations. While we might say that Lady Ban hears these sounds from her palace, I think it's even stronger to say that she is the one who gets up to pound the clothes. That reinforces her aloneness and also emphasizes that now she is only a servant to the Empress Dowager. In the following poem, the broom is a similar type of image. Clutching a broom at daybreak, she opens the golden hall. Then, clasping her round moon fan, she wanders for a while. Her jade face can't compare with the brightness of cold crows, which still carry reflections of the sun at Zhaoyang Palace. 风骤平明金殿开，且将团扇暂徘徊。欲言不及寒鸦色，有待朝阳日影来。At dawn, Lady Ban begins her day of mindless work and ennui. The round white fan she carries alludes to that in the poem attributed to her, the love gift she once gave to the emperor. Through a poetic equivalence, Lady Ban is the white silk fan, and in the poem attributed her, the fan is described as just like the bright moon. Thus here, the opposition is between the moon and the sun. The moon, symbol of unity and love, is outshone even by the reflected brilliance of the sun, the emperor, on the blue-black coat of the crow. Obsessed with thoughts of a truly ill-fated life, in dreams seeing her lord, and upon waking almost believing. Torches shine in the western palace, proof of night revels. In palace corridors this night, clearly someone has found favor. 真诚薄命久寻思，梦见君王绝后仪。火照西中至夜饮，分明复道奉恩时。Night once again, wakeful again, obsessed with her ill fate, and imagining, perhaps mistakenly, what is happening elsewhere. She does not actually know that the emperor is in the Zhaoyang Palace romancing Zhao Feiyan. The entire series takes place in her fevered mind. The last poem. The autumn moon is bright within Changxin Hall, the slapping sound of washing clothes below Zhaoyang Palace. In a mansion of white dew, traces of thin grass, under a canopy of red silk, limitless feelings. This description is all in parallel couplets, and it is placed at the end of the series. Parallel couplets offer no resolution whatsoever to her plight. Parallelism offers only stasis, constancy of the status quo, as nothing really happens. There's a good reason why parallelism is almost never present in the second couplet of a Qijue. Lady Ban's despair and obsession is, therefore, endless, and it will continue without end. Poetry of parting is judged by its power to present personal affection in novel ways. A fine example is Li Bai's sending off Meng Haoran to Guangling at Yellow Crane Tower. 黄雀楼送孟浩然至广陵. An old friend leaves the west at the Yellow Crane Tower, and in flower mists of the third month descends to Yangzhou. The far shadow of a long sail is lost in the azure sky. I see only the Yangtze River flowing to the edge of heaven. 故人西辞黄鹤楼，烟花三月下扬州。孤帆远影碧空尽，唯见长江天际流. In just a few words, Li Bai evokes the vastness of the Yangtze River. His focus on the river landscape belies his true purpose, expressing his grief at parting from a friend. In line 3, Meng Haoran's boat slowly sails over the horizon, and line 4, there's only the great river. Line 3 already implies a long amount of time, but even after that time has passed, line 4 suggests that Li Bai continues to watch the empty river. By subtle implication, Li Bai reveals that he has been standing atop Yellow Crane Tower all the while, watching the scene and thinking of his friend. Thank you all for listening today, and we will continue next time with one more episode on heptasyllabic quatrains.
Let us thank Professor Egan for such a stimulating talk. We look forward to presenting his last episode on Quatrain next Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Let's relax and listen to a reading of the poem in English by Dr. Andrew Merritt and in Mandarin by Zhao Wenxuan.
Following the army. Signal fires west of the wall, 100-foot watchtowers, climbing alone at dusk, an autumn of desert wind. What's more, Mountain Pass moon plays on a nomad flute. No way to reach the golden chamber past 10,000 miles of sadness. Autumn songs of the Hall of Abiding Faith. On the Paulonia, by the golden well, autumn leaves have yellowed. The pearl blinds are not rolled against the night-coming frost. By fragrant drying rack and a jade pillow, her face is pale. She lies listening to the South Palace clock, clear drops without end. An autumn washstone by the high hall sounds far into the night. Deep frost still recalls the chill of an imperial robe. Beside silver lantern and painted door lock, she puts aside her sewing and looks toward the golden city and her bright lord. Clutching a broom at daybreak, she opens the golden hall. Then, clasping her round moon fan, she wanders for a while. Her jade face can't compare with the brightness of cold crows, which still carry reflections of the sun at Joyang Palace. Obsessed with thoughts of a truly ill-fated life, in dreams seeing her lord, and upon waking almost believing. Torches shine in the western palace, proof of night revels. In palace corridors this night, clearly someone has found favor. The autumn moon is bright within Changshin Hall. The slapping sound of washing clothes below Joyang Palace. In a mansion of white dew, traces of thin grass. Under a canopy of red silk, limitless feelings. Sending off Meng Haoren to Guangling at Yellow Crane Tower. An old friend leaves the west at Yellow Crane Tower, and in flower mists of the third month descends to Yangzhou. The far shadow of a lone sail is lost in the azure sky. I see only the Yangtze River flowing to the edge of heaven.
从军行七首其一，王昌龄。烽火城西百尺楼，黄昏独上海风秋。更吹羌笛关山月，无奈金归万里愁。长信秋词五首，王昌龄。金井梧桐秋叶黄，珠帘不卷夜来霜。 熏笼玉枕无颜色，卧听南宫清漏长。高殿秋针响夜阑，双身游意玉衣寒。银灯轻锁才逢歇，还向京城明主看。凤肘平明金殿开，且将团扇共徘徊。欲言不及寒鸦色，犹待朝阳日影来。真诚薄命久寻思，梦见君王绝后仪。或照西宫知夜饮，分明复道奉恩时。长信宫中秋月明，朝阳殿下捣衣声。白露堂中细草荠，红罗帐里不胜情。黄鹤楼送孟浩然之广陵。李白。故人西辞黄鹤楼，烟花三月下扬州。孤帆远影碧空尽，唯见长江天际流。